You're listening to The John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Ferris.
Okay, dudes, let's walk this sucker.
On Sunny 93.3.
It's the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Ferris. Good Tuesday to you, sir. How are you?
Oh, man, a little... It's not, what are we from last week? About 40 or 50 degrees warmer?
Yeah,
yes, it
it's
feels
a lot
amazing out there.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
It gives one hope.
I still wake up shivering, though, just thinking about how cold it was.
Oh, it's been something. We're going to
Yeah.
get into the snow thing and shoveling with things I find interesting a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great report. I don't believe a minute of it. It's National Science Day.
Oh, nice.
Science!
I'm a fan of
This
science.
has changed a lot. Is science mandatory in middle school and high school
They
still?
make you
Yeah.
take. I had to take science.
Okay. Remember, I was just a lad growing up in Minneapolis. Of course, my older brother he's my hero, my brother Oogie
Right.
Boogie. It was strange what kids could get their mitts on back then. Remember one Christmas we got a chemistry set, and I think he was, all of 8, and I would have been like 6. And it came with stuff that flamed up, and it came with powders that blew up. And,
You
Mom,
probably can't get that anymore.
we need another book of matches. Yeah, in the cupboard there. Right. Go play. Is this toxic? I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of strange. My brother's in his late 60s now, and well, he has 4 nipples.
Thank you, Dan.
Celebrating birthdays today. Oh my goodness, Bernadette Peters. I've always had a thing for her.
Yeah, I've always liked her too.
She's just kind of Betty Boopish.
Yeah, she's adorable.
In a way.
If I know who she is.
She was in The Jerk.
Fell insanely in love with her in that movie.
Yeah.
Huh.
The Jerk. Yeah, she is 75 today.
Nice.
Actually, and still winning awards on Broadway.
That's
Really?
Still performing, still getting it done. Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
know that.
Yep, Gilbert Gottfried
I always liked him too.
Yeah.
passed away last year. So that Aflac Duck hasn't been the same since
No.
Yeah.
Gilbert. Well, he got fired from that actually,
Yeah.
from voicing the Aflac
Yeah.
Duck.
It's quite the to-do there.
He's a lunatic, and you knew him, you loved him. Benjamin Siegel, lovingly known as Bugsy Siegel.
Oh, yeah.
Front man for the Mob. Without Bugsy, we wouldn't have had the Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
He put that together originally, and unfortunately, he had different ideas on what to do with some of the profits. Anyway, he'd take natural causes. No, bullets to the head at 41.
Well,
That'll do
naturally, he
it.
would be dead. Yeah.
Well, naturally, he would be dead.
But the bullets were made from natural materials. Historically speaking, it was 2013. Mad neurosurgeon scientists, this is no kidding, at Duke University, connect 2 rats' brains together
What?
so they can share information. Like a Vulcan mind meld.
What year was this?
It was 2013.
Oh my gosh, that is messed up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, you get grants for.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, it is National Science Day.
So messed up.
It's like, hey, Bob, what if... well, I'm going to have another drink first now. What were you saying?
If we connect this mouse's head to that
Rats'
mouse.
brains
man.
together. You do this to humans? Yeah. And in 1646. And we were just talking about the movie. You guys saw Jesus Revolution.
We did?
over the
Yeah,
weekend.
phenomenal movie.
Okay. Things were a little different back in 1646. Mr. Roger Scott, the scoundrel, is tried and convicted in Massachusetts for falling asleep in church.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
What was the penalty?
I know, right? I knew you'd ask me, which is why I actually looked it
glad
up. First offense,
Yeah.
got locked up in stocks in the village square
Holy
just for a couple hours.
What happens if you fall asleep in the stocks?
But people were welcome to come by and throw stuff at him.
I'm sorry, I'm tired.
If you did it a second time, you got put in the stocks for twice as long and a 20 shilling fine.
Oh, my goodness.
Your third runaround,
Yeah.
snoozing in the pews, little pew snoozing.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
My dad used to be great at that.
Yeah.
You'd get the stocks. You'd get a 30 shilling fine.
Holy cow.
And a public whooping.
Oh,
Up to 10 stripes on your bare back.
I got a public whooping when I was a kid for falling asleep in church.
Jeepers creepers.
That's
it was
intense. From my dad, so.
Wow, the good old days.
Yeah. You ever fall asleep in church?
Oh, yes.
I have too, and it's been a while, but I also need to make sure I explain. I have also fallen asleep at many concerts and almost every movie I've ever gone to.
He goes.
That's not worse.
I fell asleep at the Metallica concert, Dan.
I know.
That's very loud.
They should bring this back, actually. I got to get a lot more people going to church.
Yeah. Just so they can rat people out. They're like, oh, Dan fell asleep. Dan!
And just so you know, there'll be coffee and cookies in the basement after the service. Oh, and also we're whipping Bob.
And if you'd like to make a donation, you get to whip Bob.
So there you go. I know, we all know we can bounce ahead.
Gonna do exactly that. It's the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Ferris.
Do you ever get credit card offers in the mail? Those are usually the worst offers. They spend thousands of dollars mailing them to anyone with an address. The people who actually read their junk mail end up paying the price in the long run. At bettercreditcards.com, we offer a variety of credit card options to fit your needs. Whether you want a credit card to give you cash back or points and perks, or a credit card to help you build your credit, we probably have it at bettercreditcards.com. Give yourself a little credit. bettercreditcards.com.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Tuesday. Our guest today, Chloe Malaz, you might know her from CNN. You're going to know something else about her now. Her grandfather wrote a book a while ago, and they're actually putting out a new version of the book. It's called Luck of the Draw, My Story of the Air War in Europe. And this is a fascinating book. It sounds like your grandfather was a pretty cool dude, Chloe.
He was, and also just such a kind person. But turns out he was a really great writer, too. So that must be where I get my journalism chops from. But he was a great writer, and I'm excited to talk to you about this project.
And the thing that's cool is a lot of people know you. If they watch CNN, they see you on there. And I was saying ahead of time, is it kind of different? Instead of you asking the questions, I get to ask you questions.
It's kind of scary. I have a newfound respect for anybody that I interview now. So I'm going to have to start telling people that I understand if you're nervous. So, yeah.
Well, don't be nervous. This, again, I think this is just an amazing story. And now the story was written a while ago, and sadly your grandfather has passed away, but I'm really glad that this book is back out because the timing is perfect with all the cool programs that are coming out, and there's this renewed interest in this time period. And there's a new Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg program that's on Apple TV that really has people interested in this particular story.
Yeah, so, my grandfather wrote this book, like you said, 20 years ago, and he wrote it just for our family. He wrote this so that for future generations of our family, that everything that he went through as a prisoner of war and, flying over Nazi Germany, that it would be documented for us in one place. And thank goodness he did that, because the amount of research that he did for 10 years is unbelievable. That's why all the reviews for this are just mind-blowingly amazing. But the bottom line is that when my mom and I found out that Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg were going to be featuring my grandfather as a character, a supporting character, in Masters of the Air, which is a mini-series, it's their follow-up to Band of Brothers in the Pacific, that's when we said, hey, we got to publish this. Because he self-published it with a small publisher, and it's been out of print almost since the moment it came out. So we knew that if people were going to watch the show, that they might want to learn more about the Bloody Hundredth, which was his bomb group, and maybe more about Grandpa. So now they can, and here we are, and the book is out tomorrow. And my mom and I, we updated the book, new pictures, new information, and we both wrote a joint forward.
And I think this is just a really neat thing. So there's kind of the three different generations involved in the telling of this story, that your grandfather was there firsthand. He was part of this.
Yeah, so he flew 21 missions over Nazi Germany, and he was shot down on his 21st mission. And he had to parachute out of his aircraft. 2 men died, and then he ended up being a prisoner of war in Germany for the next year and a half in some really just terrible conditions. So, I am just excited for people to learn about what my grandfather went through. And realize that he persevered and that if he can get through some bad days, so can we, right? And so I think that's really the general message.
And now the Masters of the Air, again, is a program that's on Apple Plus, and I know that there's this huge renewed interest, but they're talking specifically about the Bloody 100th, which, again, that's the subject of this book, and that's also the bomb group that your grandfather was in, right?
Yeah, so, Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg, they optioned a book by a friend of mine, John Miller. He's a historian who knew my grandfather, and he wrote a book called Masters of the Air. They optioned it back in 2007. So here we are all this time later. They finally have this TV show that's going to be coming out. We don't know when, but it's filmed. It stars Austin Butler. I went to the set during the pandemic with my family in England. It's literally epic. It's amazing how they recreated the air war. And, expensive and time-consuming, and they want to get it right. And they feature the 100th Bomb Group, which is known as the Bloody 100th, and that's the group that my grandfather flew with.
That is fantastic. Now, again, if people would like to find this, you said when the book originally came out, it was like a self-published book, so it was a little maybe harder to find. But now, is it everywhere? Will it be easy for people to find this book, Luck of the Draw?
Oh, yeah, everywhere. Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore. If it's not at your local bookstore, tell them to carry it. You can go to luckofthedraw.us. It's a website that we made as a family. It tells Grandpa's story and more about my mom and I, and there's links to purchase there. And there's an audio version of the book, and it's actually narrated by Jonas Moore, the actor who plays my grandfather in the series. So that's even more special.
That's really cool. I'm going to throw a link to make it easy to find the book. Thank you so much for your time today. And also thank you. You guys could have very easily not done this because I'm sure it was a lot of work, but I love the fact that now as people hear this story and they want to know more, they'll be able to read a firsthand account written by your grandfather, who is no longer with us, but now because you're doing this, we're going to be able to read this book that, most people would have never even known about.
Well, look, it's been a labor of love. And it was a lot harder than we expected, but it's cool to raise money for veterans. It's amazing to be able to champion this. And I'm just glad that we had the foresight to think to do this years ago. And it's kind of perfect timing.
Absolutely.
So it's just amazing. I'm so excited.
Well, Chloe, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Again, the book is called Luck of the Draw, My Story of the Air War in Europe. I've got a link to it at facebook.com/sunnyradio and facebook.com/Sioux Falls News.
If your plan for the new year involves getting your financial life in order, I suggest you start with your mobile phone bill. How much do you pay every month? If that number is more than $15, it's time for a Mintervention. Mint Mobile makes it affordable and easy to switch. Get a new phone or bring your current phone. At Mintervention.com, you can see the current special offers from Mint Mobile, offering premium wireless for just $15 a month. That's far less than most people are paying, just $15 a month. Learn more now at Mintervention.com. That's Mintervention.com.
And now stuff Dan finds interesting.
Yeah.
It is things that times that it is time for stuff Dan finds interesting.
There you go. You just keep punching, big guy.
It's time for things that stuff that Dan finds interesting.
So I think, and I may be wrong, but it's at least in the top 10 for snow amounts for our neck of the woods.
Probably,
this year.
yeah.
Maybe even the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, we've
so
been
far,
along.
and we're not done yet. I mean,
I
make no
know. We
mistake.
got a lot of winter left.
Yeah, it's not
This,
been my fave.
This kind of surprised me. I mean, I was a homeowner up until about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Had my last house for 8 or 9 years.
My favorite part of that story is Dan was going to retire and move to Florida. He decided to stay here and enjoy winter with us.
Wow.
Could be living the dream.
Wow.
When you think about it that way, you made a horrible decision.
I've made a horrible error.
I did. My whole life's been fraught with horrible decisions.
but in all fairness,
I'm not used to it.
I'm glad you're here. So you were saying.
But right up to the very end, I've never owned a snowblower.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always done my own snow removal.
Yeah.
So I trip across this article, what is the right age to stop moving that stuff yourself with a shovel?
Yeah.
Okay? And they actually took stats from Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, average age where you should knock this off, doing your own sidewalks, your driveways, whatever. An average of, holy cow, almost 12,000 people a year have cardiac-related events while shoveling snow.
I could see that.
That's a lot. Also, many, they die. Percy died. Percy Rosine Our neighbor across the street when I was a kid.
Oh, I was like, am I supposed to know this?
That's why you didn't know that name, Heidi.
No, you didn't. Well, he was married to old lady Rosine, who was just a beast. She was a horrible woman, and we just figured Percy checked out to get away from her.
Well, you never know.
Turned out he was moving snow. Yeah, Percy. Well, he was about 112, so no surprise there.
Oh, wow.
But here's the skinny. Barry Franklin, who has studied the effects of snow shoveling on the heart and is a lead educator and researcher of American Heart Association Scientifics, says exercise-related heart risks, which you need to understand, heart disease in America, is huge.
Yeah.
And he says, and the thing is, by the time
It's America's favorite pastime.
you're in your 40s, 50s, you probably have a little something going on with your ticker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's all there is to it. So you should consider not shoveling snow anymore. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Age 45.
I'm done. I'm out of this.
Wow.
I
don't
was
have to do
going
it
until I
anymore.
was 65.
You know,
I'm not breaking a sweat.
I didn't own a snowblower until last year, and only reason I had a snowblower last year, my brother-in-law, who is awesome, by the way, Chris, love you, man. He got a new snowblower, and he took pity on me, and he gave me his old snowblower. This, I think, is amazing. The old snowblower, it needed a new belt. It didn't work. So he's like, well, you got to get a belt for it. And then my neighbor had a belt for it.
That exact same.
The exact same snowblower. He's like, oh, I got a belt for that. And I don't know how to do that stuff. So I called my buddy Chris, my brother-in-law. I was like, hey, I got a belt. And then he came over and put it on for me.
It was a pretty good deal for
It was
us.
really good. I'm like, yeah, without my amazing neighbor and my amazing brother-in-law, I would have been shoveling with a shovel this year.
Yeah,
So-
according to Franklin, his studies indicate that about 85% of U.S. adults age 50 plus already have underlying coronary artery disease,
Yikes.
and advises anyone age 45 or older to just knock it off.
That's
So I'm feeling
big
pretty
number.
good about myself. I went about
yeah.
an additional 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, you know where I'm at now. 8 different medications and a low sodium diet. Yes, who doesn't want to be me? I laugh in the face of death, but not too loudly.
Not loud enough I can hear you.
That's it. Hey, I got to blast you too, John. Heidi, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Have a prosperous, blessed day. I'll catch up with you in the morning.
Sounds good. It is the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Ferris.
Do you ever get credit card offers in the mail? Those are usually the worst offers. They spend thousands of dollars mailing them to anyone with an address. The people who actually read their junk mail end up paying the price in the long run. At bettercreditcards.com, we offer a variety of credit card options to fit your needs. Whether you want a credit card to give you cash back or points and perks, or a credit card to help you build your credit, we probably have it at bettercreditcards.com. Give yourself a little credit. bettercreditcards.com.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. Equity markets started the week strong, but gains quickly faded under rising inflation, interest rate expectations, and a dwindling outlook for earnings. The latest news from FactSet is that estimates for all quarters of 2023 are trending lower, and the first half will see growth decline by more than 4%. In this light, it's incredible the S&P 500 has been able to rebound as it has. This week brings reports from retailers including Target, Lowe's, and Kroger. So far, the takeaway is that volume sales continue to fade while inflation makes up the difference. Regarding the S&P 500, Monday's candle confirms resistance at the short-term EMA and has the index set up for a more significant decline. The target now is 3,900 with a chance of moving below that level to 3,800. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.